On today's show, Dallas Mavericks season comes to an end. A miraculous season that it was. We'll talk about what happened in the NBA Finals. We'll talk about the season that was. We'll talk about what the night meant and more. On today's
Locked On Mavs.
Locked On Mavs.
Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fails.
Well, that one hurts. That one hurts. And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today and after the NBA Finals. So the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section what's your favorite part of this season. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me, as always on a post game, the cult leader himself, the vibes leader. The overall locked in luchador. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a tough end to the season, but it was an incredible season, and it was a fun day on Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, you always want to see your team win, and you want to be the team that hoists the trophy at the end of it. But it was an incredible experience and a great run, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing to be upset about, but man, just I feel really good. I do. I feel happy. Like, admittedly for me, and you can attest to this because of how bad of a mood I was in after Game 3. That to me was when I had accepted
that's
pretty
when
much
it ended for you.
Not that it ended, but it was like this. Okay, we're probably about to lose the NBA Finals. After Game 4, I got back into it and was hyped. But like that's when I did most of my most of my glooming and most of my crying.
Glooming and dooming.
So tonight's more of just a, wow, I can't believe it's over feeling more than anything else.
It lasted so much longer than we expected. This season did. I mean, it went into June. I mean, we are June 18th. The Mavericks just played their last. June 17th, the Mavs played their last basketball game. Like, no one would have thought that back in January, February, sometimes even March. And here we are. But then it lasted so much longer than we expected. And then it ended so much quicker. It's done. Like, it's over. There's no more basketball. There's not another game to be played. And that's to me the feeling that lasts now. It's like, they don't get one more chance. They don't get one more chance to come out and to try and win this, to try and get another game, to try and fix things, to try to adjust things, to try and, have Kyrie shoot the ball anywhere near to where he normally does in TD Garden. Like, he's never going to get another chance this season to do that. And none of these guys are. And that's sort of the amazing thing about sport, is that you get the one season and you get to prove all these things. You get to have all these questions be asked of you and prove them right or prove them wrong. And you get to go through this whole experience. You get to grow with a team. You get to change teammates. You get to change teams. You get PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford go from zero to hero, in the middle of a trade, and to do all that. And you get some incredible moments. Like, it looks like it's the end of Jayson Kidd for the Dallas Mavericks, and they aren't taking to heart the things that he's saying, and then all of a sudden the team turns into the best defense in the NBA. They turn it on, and they move on through the NBA to the NBA Finals, and you get to the Clippers, and you go through that series, and you get the Thunder, and you go through that series, and Timberwolves in that series, and all the different challenges and things that came up, and Luka fighting through injury, and Kyrie Irving dealing with certain things, and then you're like, then it's just over. It's sort of an amazing thing about sport, because it'll start again next year, but there will never be the same iteration of Dallas Mavericks that there is right now. And if you were around in 2011 as a Mavericks fan, you absolutely know that to be true. Even if you win, sometimes that very same team doesn't come back, and that's one that hurts deep to a lot of people, because they didn't bring back Tyson Chandler, they didn't bring back other players. And you got to appreciate what you've got in front of you. And so I think if you're listening to this show, if you're somebody that has listened all throughout this whole run, all throughout this entire season, if you listen daily, if you're part of the Raccoon Squad, that's, to me, that's somebody that listens to the show every day or listens as much as they can. I understand people's time and schedules, but if you are just dedicated to this team, like, you did not take this team for granted. You had a damn good time watching this Dallas Mavericks team and enjoying this run and locking in and thinking about, what this team could be and thinking about what this team could be in the future and enjoying the run of Dereck Lively and enjoying the MVP type season that Luka Doncic had, enjoying the redemption, refurbishment season that Kyrie Irving had, enjoying seeing, Jaden Hardy have some moments and Josh Green have some moments. And there was just some incredible things this season that we saw, and it ends tonight, and it's sad. It's a sad moment for sure. But you got to look back and just appreciate the things that we saw this season and appreciate that the Mavs made it here to the NBA Finals. I'm sitting here. There's literally confetti falling on me right now. I got one confetti. Is it confetti if it's only one? I have a
great
confet.
question. That doesn't seem correct.
But you never know when this is going to happen again. And so just appreciate this team that we just saw and appreciate this whole run. And I think if you're listening to this, you absolutely did.
Yeah, and I don't remember when. I think it was after game 2. I said something, just make sure you're soaking in everything that's happening, because like you said earlier, these moments as a fan are very fleeting. And in the moment, you don't really process that, oh my God, if we lose the next 2 games, our season's over by like next Tuesday, or, whatever the case may be. Or you don't process just how incredible these type of postseason runs are while you're in them, because you're just so, you're nervous about the next game. You're listening to people say about what should happen, what shouldn't happen. And those are the thoughts that are entering your mind when it's just like years from now, you'll look back on this run. Like people, me personally, I've made some incredible memories and have had incredible lifelong experiences with very close friends of mine. I've met great people like during this postseason run. And those are all the moments that just make sport, like you said, so great, so amazing. And on the Celtics side, they've been here. They've lost the NBA Finals 2 years ago. They've been building this for the last, 7 years, 8 years? I think Jaylen Brown's been in the league 8 years now at this point. Like, they've been building towards this moment. They're consistently always, good. They're always in the mix. And it's what makes tonight that much more special. It's what made 2011 that much more special for us fans, that we were there for 2006 and we were there for all of the subsequent years after that, where the Mavs were losing in the first round over and over and people were asking questions about the team. So it sucks that they didn't win. And I've seen some comments that have made me upset about how disappointed people are with the team and how they played in this series. Was it what we expected? Of course it wasn't. I actually genuinely thought they were going to win the series. That wasn't me just saying, hey guys, I'm a Mavs fan. I actually thought they were going to win the series. A lot of very
not a bit. This whole thing is not a bit.
No. This is not a bit. This is not a bit. A lot of very smart basketball people thought the Mavericks would win the series. And it's disappointing in that regard, but it's not like, wow, trade this guy, trade that guy. I'm so mad at this guy. Like, that's not how it works.
Fire the coach.
Right. When you make it to this stage, you're an NBA championship caliber team, and it just didn't work out like that. The Celtics were just better, and they played better. And that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and you could do the whole the Mavs got here early and they just put this team together. This team's only been together 4 or 5 months, right? With Gafford and PJ and all that, and that iteration of the team. Grant Williams is here. I think I saw, it's got to be a brother because he looks exactly like Grant Williams, just much tanner. But Grant Williams is here. Like, remember when he was on the Mavericks? Like, you think about all of that. Think all the way back to then. Like, this is just a different Mavericks team than the one we saw, and they have a bright future. You don't let the disappointment of this game let you forget how bright the future is for this Dallas Mavericks team. The Celtics had to do the exact same thing, where they went we lost in 2022 to the Warriors, team that just matched up much better against them than some of their other opponents, things like that. A couple guys came up short. Mavericks are dealing with that exact same thing. Guys came up short. Team didn't match up very well, but they have a bright future and they have a lot of things ahead of them. And we'll talk about some of those things, but let's also talk about this finals, some of our favorite memories of the finals. We'll talk through some of that and more. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done the new intro today.
Is that new?
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has you covered for all the things that you can bet on and get in on the action on sports. Doesn't have to be just NBA. They still have finals odds up on there. I feel like you guys should take that down. You can go do WNBA. Go check out some of the other things that they have available. The Fever are a 4.5-point favorite against the Mystics on Tuesday. So if you want to do that game, go check out that. They don't have any Dallas Wings games because they've got some injuries that they're dealing with, but there's all kinds of other fun things like that. You can do Parlay Builder. They've got the Commissioner's Cup between the Lynx and the Liberty. The Lynx are a 3.5-point underdog against Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, and the Liberty. So check out that if you want to. And right now, if you put down $5, you get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets that you can use on any other kind of thing. So check it out, FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It's a $5 bet, $200 in bonus bets. Check it all out, FanDuel.com/lockedon.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day, being part of the show. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking it out. And I just wanted to take a second and thank every single person for all of the things that they did to interact with this show, to be part of this show, and to support what we do, support this show, support me and my career. This is my full-time job doing this. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for listening, for liking, for subscribing, for commenting. If you're a Celtics fan in this and you're commenting and you want some schadenfreude in your day today, enjoy it. Enjoy the championship and enjoy the things in your life more than you enjoy the downfall of others. But I just wanted to thank all the Raccoon Squad members and the Mavs fans and everybody for liking the show and being part of it and coming up to me at games and coming up to Slightly and me and asking for pictures and things like that. Like, it's just an incredible community that we've built here. And, obviously that Isaac and I started and built, and then Slightly came along, and Reggie came along, Danny came along this season. It's been absolutely incredible this whole year to do daily Dallas Mavericks content. It will continue throughout the offseason. Guys, the draft.
Let me tell
8
you.
days.
The draft is in 8 days. Free agency is like 2 days after that. I just walked by Adam Silver. He was sweating off of his bald head because there's so much coming up in the NBA.
It's insane.
So we've got to talk about that. But I just wanted to take a second and thank every single one of you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart. This season, personally, for me, on a personal level, and maybe I'll explain this one day, but was the hardest that I've ever had to go through. And having this community, having people, Slightly, Reggie, Dana, and everybody, even Isaac, even though he abandoned me, but having all those people here with me has made it so much better. And having you listening out there has made it an incredible season. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, I was going to get in my sentimental bag, but I guess we can
go
wait
for
until
it. Go for it. No,
right,
get in your bag.
I was going to say thank you, Nick, for doing the things that you do, inviting me on this show, which I wasn't so sure about at first just because I didn't know how I would do it in a podcast, especially more of a PG-centered podcast. And you assured me that it would be fine. And I think the reason it worked is because I don't think people who definitely have not done podcasts before or haven't gone on people's podcasts don't realize how difficult it is to stay on track and focused and on topic. And people think that you're awesome because you are, but I don't think people realize how good Nick is at what he does. Like, I think Nick is a legitimate superstar in podcasting, and he's the sky is the limit for him, genuinely. So thank you for allowing me to come on here, and we had a great run. It was a great season. People come up to me and tweet us, talk to us, tell us how they listen to us when they have hard times and it makes them feel better. And I'm going to try not to get emotional because that makes me feel very emotional. But it's crazy. It's been a crazy year on that front. And the fact that people enjoy us that much is just hard to believe. And it hasn't really set in until recently for me with the amount of people who reach out to us and say stuff like that. It really does mean a lot to us. So,
yeah. It's amazing to we had the live show where we had over 100 people there to talk to and to meet, and I've probably met, oh my gosh, well, I went through a 500 pack of stickers this year. So if you want to do the math on that, probably met 500 Mavericks fans this year at some point at games. But man, it's just been an absolutely incredible journey, and it's been great, and it's good. It's a good run. We'll see if you're on a 1-year contract, so we'll see if we bring you back.
The price has gone up.
He's He's an expiring deal, so maybe we trade him. We'll trade him to the Clippers for Darian or
You want to hear something funny?
what?
So I was talking to somebody recently, somebody who I would very much love to go on their show, and they're like, "Dude,
Is it Ben
yeah,
Rogers? Because did he want to adopt you?
No. I've been on their show. I love those guys. But it was somebody who I would love to go on their show, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I've been wanting to hit you up." And I was like, "Why haven't you?" And he was like, "I just thought you'd say no. Like I thought that like you've surpassed it." I was like, "What? Please invite me. If you want me to come on your show, please invite me. I would love to do it."
Yeah, same for me. Any Mavs show that's going, I will go on. I got so many requests for like the Salt Lake City radio and Indianapolis radio this week, and I was like, I don't know. But if you're a Mavs fan and you're starting a show, or if you've been doing a show, I will do anything I can to help you. So, should we talk about the Mavericks? Or should we just keep talking about ourselves?
No, this is we're changing this podcast moving forward.
That's right.
It's a lifestyle podcast now.
Okay, so I'm going to Ibiza this summer.
Nice.
Do the Rosillo travel thing.
Yeah, the New Zealand diary. That would actually be funny. Though.
If you and I went to the same place.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious.
I think
Slovenia. There you go. There's the concept.
That's
right
it.
There.
We just figured it out. If Slightly and Nick take on Slovenia, we'll just
Well, that could segue us back into basketball, actually.
Can it really?
Yes, it can. Because I don't know if you saw the immediate post-game quotes, but
no, I haven't seen anything.
Somebody did ask Luka about the Olympics, and it did not. First and foremost, somebody just tweeted out the original quote, which if you didn't know what the question was, you would be like, wait, what is he talking about? Because I'm going to try to pull up the quote right now. But basically, he was paraphrasing almost and was like, yeah, I don't know about my future. I don't want to think about it right now, but I have to make some tough decisions. That was basically the quote.
Yeah.
And that just got sent out of context. People were like, wait, is he talking about leaving them? Like, right. But it was in response to somebody asking about the Olympics. And it kind of made me think that he might not play in it.
I wouldn't be surprised because, honestly, this is where we get into the actual Mavs conversation. Luka and Kyrie weren't good enough in this. I mean, they were good together one game out of this whole run, and they won the one game. Like, that was the whole thing. And Luka was compromised because of an injury standpoint, and you could tell. I mean, he was hobbling up the floor. He was having a hard time here and there. I mean, he was able to play, but he was not 100% at all. Like, you have to be able to admit that he was not 100%, and that you needed Luka to be 100% against this Celtics team, as good as they were. And so I would not be surprised at all if he doesn't play, especially since the qualifiers for the Olympics for Slovenia, since they didn't make the tournament, are coming up soon, like a couple days after free agency.
End of the month, I thought, June.
Yeah, very, very soon. And so I would not be surprised because in a regular season, he probably wouldn't play in any of the, like, if all 5 of these finals games were regular season games, I don't think Luka plays.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is partially why I didn't before the show. I was like, I don't know how much I want to talk about this game because it's going just in the grand scheme of the season, and this should be it should be like a celebration of life more than a sad morning funeral. And it's like, if we're going to sit here and be like, hey, well, Luka didn't do X, Y, and Z, Kyrie didn't do X, Y, and Z, it comes off like negative in a way I don't want to because they're already going to get piled on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you are correct, though, in the sense that for the Mavericks to win this series, those two, we talked about it before the series started, had to be either the best 2 players in the series or 2 of the best 3 players in the series, hands down. And that just wasn't really the case. And for Luka, I do think the injuries and stuff just finally reached a point. And I don't want to use that as a full excuse because the Celtics defense is just absolutely incredible. And for Kyrie, it's just this mental, barrier that he cannot get over for whatever reason currently. And it doesn't take away the 2 incredible seasons those 2 guys had and the great playoff runs they had in the lead up to it.
No, it doesn't. It just, they needed to be 100. They needed to both be 100% mentally, physically, and like on their stuff. And they were not in this series, and that's the reason why the Mavericks didn't get a chance basically in this series. They had a great game 4, and the Celtics took their foot off the gas in an incredible, insane way. The Mavs took it and went and took advantage of that game, but you did not see that same kind of Mavericks team in Game 5. I mean, from almost from the gate, the Mavs come out and they are down 2-9, 5-13. You know, it's like Josh Green hit a couple of threes to make it 11-13, and you're like, okay, here we go. Exum hit a 3 to make it 18-19. The Mavs put in their small ball lineup, and then they go 3-11 the rest of the first quarter. I mean, it was just rough. And the Celtics had enough answers, and Luka and Kyrie couldn't cover up for the answers that the Celtics had that the Mavs couldn't like the Mavs couldn't answer or couldn't come back and find their own adjustment or anything like that. And so they were overmatched. Celtics were a much better team. And I picked Mavs at 6-2 because I thought the Mavericks, if they were going to win, I was like, all right, if the Mavs are going to win, they have to get 2 out of the first 3. And they have to come out and like surprise the Celtics. They'd have to come out and like punch first. They would have to punch first. And then all of a sudden the Celtics go, oh my God, it's 2-1, and we have not even played in this. We have not even played in the series. And then the Mavs would just have to win 2 more games out of the next, 3 or 4 or whatever. And I thought that's what it was going to have to be, but they didn't get that done anywhere close to that. Losing the first 3, it was absolutely brutal. And the one thing that I will take away from Luka and Kyrie weren't good enough is that can be, you can make that better, right? Like they can be better than they were. We saw it all season. We saw it all postseason. Those guys can absolutely be better, and I think that they'll take this as a motivating factor and come back. But coming up, let's talk about the rest of this team. Let's talk about the role players, because there were some guys that stepped up, and I think they deserve some credit in a game like this, that they stepped up to the plate, stepped up to the mark, and did some things for this Mavericks team. We'll talk about that coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered for all kinds of parts for your car, truck, SUV, motor carriage, whatever you got. Go check it out. Passion, drive, patience. It's the formula. Oh, dang, eBay Motors. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. Just twisting the knife right there. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, things like that for your car, truck, SUV, whether you're into speed, power, style. eBay Motors has you covered. Over 122 million parts to choose from. For your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, you know that part is going to fit your car every time, the first time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're getting that part to burn rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, listening, being part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Thanks for subscribing to Slightly Biased on YouTube. Thanks for following us on Twitter and all that other kind of stuff. Nick Van Exit on all social platforms. Let's talk about some of these other guys, because I thought that Luka and Kyrie will get some blame, and they weren't very good in this game. And Luka kept fighting, and it was 12 of 25, and just kept going for it. 12 rebounds. He kept fighting through all this, and he deserves credit for fighting through this entire series for sure. But I think other guys deserve some credit in this. Dereck Jones Jr. Let's start with Josh Green. Josh Green hit 4 threes in this game. This was a game where the Celtics kind of changed their approach. The Celtics helped off of guys in this one. Luka and Kyrie were seeing multiple bodies because they were like, all right, these other guys aren't going to beat us. They're not. We're gonna not let Luka and Kyrie go off in this game and silence our crowd and go off and play one-on-one, because they did that in Game 4 and they destroyed us. And so they're like, all right, well, we're just gonna switch it and we're gonna send multiple bodies to Luka and Kyrie. And so then you had PJ open all the time, Dereck Jones Jr. open all the time. Josh Green hit 4 threes in this game. Give credit to Josh Green. There were times in the series he looked unplayable, and I thought he played pretty well today.
Yeah, no, that was awesome to see from Josh Green. It was funny, at least in the first half, I felt like the role players were playing pretty well. And it was just kind of waiting for the stars to show up. And then by that point, it was just a little too late.
How about halfway through the third quarter, Josh Green was the leading scorer on the Dallas Mavericks in an NBA Finals game. How about that? He had 14 points, and nobody else had more than that.
Shout out to Josh Green. Very happy for him. That's not a recipe for success right there at all.
Sorry, bud. Happy for you, not happy for the rest of us.
Yes, very true there. Dereck Jones Jr. at 10 at halftime. He was the leading scorer for a good chunk of time. So, I mean, they played well, I thought, in spurts, but ultimately it's just, man, you watch the Celtics team, and it's just like what their role players do.
So well constructed.
So well constructed. It goes back to what we said at the top of the show. This has been a 7 to 8 year building process for them. Getting to this point, they've had they've had some pretty sizable shakeups. They've never made like the huge Phoenix Suns trading for KD move, but
well, they did the smart Porzingis Jrue Holiday switch up,
right?
Like, that was a big thing for them. Like that was really big. But they had their two guys. They had the Tatum and Brown, and Luka and Porzingis were supposed to be that all the way back. And then the Mavs had to switch front offices, which I guess the Celtics did too with Brad Stevens. But they were building off of those two guys and have been for those 8 years, like you said. The Mavs have been building off of Luka and Kyrie for 18 months, not very long,
and have completely and totally changed their roster construction, ideals and techniques and what they're looking for in players, which a little frustrating it's taken this long because it's not, what they've needed hasn't necessarily been a secret, but it really has been since this past summer and kind of the trade deadline. Because I do think, like, while they all the reports at the time is that they loved, I'm going back to a year because this was a year ago now that we're doing this for months at this point, but that they loved Dereck Lively and that they were going to draft Dereck Lively. But that almost felt like to me, it just like with the Mavericks history, just kind of like we got to take him, right? Like we need a center.
Could help in 2 years. That was like the conversation.
I mean, everyone's going to kill us if we don't draft the center. So let's get Dereck Lively. And then they traded for Gafford at the trade deadline. And it's just like, it feels like they finally found their pocket of what it is they need to look for in players. And especially like a PJ Washington, who didn't have a great game tonight, but I mean, he was so good in this postseason run. Just so incredibly good and important for this Mavericks team. And he's a guy who isn't necessarily a one-dimensional player. Like, he can shoot threes, he can defend, but there's stuff that he can do that I'm interested to see how it gets tapped into next season and stuff like that. So looking for multi-dimensional players, and Dereck Lively's a multi-dimensional player as well. You might not think that because he's just kind of a rim-running center, but he just does so much more than that. So there's a lot to be excited about. A lot. And I know we kind of dogged the role guys at times in this series, but they've been good in the playoffs, like really good.
Yeah, they helped the Mavs get here. Absolutely helped them get here. And I think that, you mentioned PJ Washington. I thought he kept fighting all the way through too. This was a tough game for him where he was just doing a little bit too much. He had 4 turnovers. He had 3 fouls. He missed all 5 of his threes. Just wasn't a great statistical game for him, but never gave up. He was the one that the standing on business is like a moment we'll look back on in this playoffs. And we'll do a playoff retrospective. We'll go back and like, what are the best moments of this run and all that kind of stuff and fun things like that. But
it was so long.
But like, standing on business was like that's what he stayed doing that the whole time, even through the finals. And it didn't come up the way that you wanted for him, but he's definitely a piece and a player that you can build around going forward. And I think that's important. Dante Exum kind of came back to life, hit a 3 in this, played a little bit. Man, it's tough. I thought the Celtics team, the point of attack defense for them looked night and day different than it did in Game 4. And the Mavs were scared to dribble the ball sometimes. Like they were scared with the ball. Now even Kyrie, I felt like scared with the ball in his hands at times to dribble against this Celtics defense, and it made it really tough for him. But yeah, like you said, the Mavs have building blocks, and they have some pieces to trade too, so they can make some moves and do all that. And this is not the end. This is not the end of this Dallas Mavericks team right now.
I think I'll be interested to see how next season goes. I feel like these last few games for Exum could be like a very big moment because it was trending in a terrible direction for him in this postseason where, we talked about it where he was like the Mavs' 3rd most important player for huge chunks of the season.
Yeah.
And then just became unplayable, but then turned into like the last 2 games of the series into, like Dante Exum could play against the Celtics team and be a key rotational piece for us. So we'll see if that helps his confidence heading into next year because he seems like a real confidence-driven guy.
Absolutely. If you're discouraged by this finals appearance and lost in 5 games and all that, this Celtics team is very good. This Celtics team is a team we're going to look back on and be like, man, how well constructed was this Celtics team and how well prepared was this Celtics team for this moment, and a bad matchup for the Mavericks and all that. If it was the Nuggets, if it was the Timberwolves, if it was the Thunder, would it be different? I don't know, maybe. But I think that they would have beat all those teams too because they are just very good, deep. They can keep throwing options at you. They had adjustments left in their bag that they didn't really go to. They didn't really. What did they finish for 3? 13 of 39. They still never had the game where they just shot really well from three in this series after 5 games, where they shot like 40-something% from three.
My God, I didn't realize the second half scoring for them in this game was that bad. Because I was about to say there's no way it was that low, but they were 47% in the first half and then 16 in the second half. And that was when Tatum said, "It's my time to win Finals MVP."
And he did not. That was the thing about the Celtics team is they would win one quarter, but convincingly, and then they would lose the other 3 quarters, and it wouldn't matter because they won that one quarter so convincingly. They could just really turn on and go on these runs, and that makes it so hard to. It was very difficult for the Mavericks to not have that third scorer, that third heat to take pressure off Luka, Kyrie, and also to like help keep them connected during those quarters. Like, all right, we're gonna score 39 on you. All right, the Mavericks can score even like 35, 34 against you, like just to keep it connected in that way where it was a 5-point advantage instead of an 11-point advantage or a 10-point advantage in that quarter. And they just couldn't get that. They could never find that guy and get that guy. And Tim Hardaway Jr., contract-wise and skill-wise, probably should have been that guy, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen the rest of this at the end of the season. But Mavs did incredible to get here. An amazing thing. But yeah, there you go. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll do more. We'll be back every single day talking about the Mavericks, talking about the offseason, doing all that kind of stuff. So stick around with us, guys. Thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Love you guys.
Peace out. Appreciate each and every one of you for making this amazing.
Don't send me your